All right, so we are now live. Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Mary. Hi, Tavara. Hi, Erica. Hello, Miss Gomez. Hello, Tamisha Banks. Make sure you drop a hello in the chat and your name so that we know who is here. So I am here with, I call her my mommy, my mom. But this is Danita Mitchell, and she is a realtor and a broker in the states of North Carolina and South Carolina, right, Mom?
Right.
So I thought it would be a good idea for us to do a live stream where we talk about millennials and the home buying process. If a lot of you guys don't know, I recently purchased my first house, a condo, back in December. So it's almost been a year, Mom, since we went through this process.
I cannot believe it's been a year.
I
Right.
know. And so there were a lot of things that I did not know, even with you being a realtor, and even with my sister being in the mortgage industry, there were just a lot of things that I just was not aware of.
Right.
So I wanted to do this live for one, because people my age, I am considered a millennial, I'm 32.
Right.
People my age have a desire to buy a home, but they're scared. They don't really know much about it. They don't know if they can afford it. And there's just a lot of miseducation out there. So we're going to get started with some questions. But first, I want you to introduce yourself. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put your social media platforms in the chat. Okay. So go ahead and give us a quick introduction.
So, hello everyone. My name is Danita Mitchell, and as Sonja said, I'm mommy or her mom, and I have been a real estate agent broker for I know probably 18 plus years now. I started my career in new home sales, so I was the person that sat in the model homes that helped people to buy. Um, in the model homes in the community. So I did that for 16, 17 years for about 6 or 7 national big builders in the country. And I was so happy in, I think, September of last year. Mine has been a little bit over a year. I decided to take a leap of faith and go out on my own and go into general brokerage and work for myself and to serve people, to help them to buy their private homes and to sell their private homes. So I've been a real estate agent now probably almost close to 20 years in North and South Carolina.
Okay. So, uh, if you have never been on one of my Simply Sonja Chats episodes before, welcome. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Make sure you subscribe while you're here. Okay. But I usually have about 5 questions that I will ask my chat mate. And we like to keep these very informal. So I'm going to go through and ask my mom some questions that I think you guys would want to know. But your specific questions about real estate, we're going to answer towards the end of the chat. So make sure you drop those questions in the chat so that we can go ahead and get started with answering those questions towards the end. So don't worry, we're going to get to as many of your questions as we possibly can. But she already has some information she wants to chat about first. Okay. So, and by the way, y'all's nephew Ozzy is a little hyper tonight. So if you see him and hear him,
Oh my goodness. I can't wait to meet Ozzy. I'm excited.
Ozzy, my cat, in case you don't know. Okay, so I'm going to take your socials off the screen so they won't be a little distracting, but it'll
Okay.
still be in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, so Mom, you ready?
I am ready. Hit me.
Okay, first question is, what is a common myth that first-time home buyers have about the overall process?
I'm just going to talk about one of the most common myths that I have heard that first time home buyers or a lot of people have is that you have to have 20% down to purchase a home, which can be a lot of money. You know, everybody says you need 20% down, and what that means is 20% down payment of whatever purchase prices you want to purchase. That is a common myth. You don't have to have that much money saved. You can actually buy a home, especially as a first time home buyer. There are programs out there that will allow you to buy with no money down. It depends on the type of loan program, sometimes the area that you're buying in. You have the FHA program, and the VA program is 100% financing. And then FHA, you can put as little down as 3.5% of the purchase price of what you want to buy. So that is the probably one of the most common myths that people have, that you have to have a whole lot of money. You do have to have some money saved, but not as much as most people think.
So do you remember the percentage that I had to put down for mine?
You had to put down 5% because of the, at the time, the loan program you were using, plus because of the amount of student loans that you had. And we'll get into that a little bit later about the student loans. So it's going to depend on your specific situation by how much you have to put down. But you absolutely can buy a home if if you're in a certain credit score for as little as 0 or 3% down, depending on your situation. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know that's one of the things that makes people insecure. I mean, it made me insecure with my buying process, not knowing how much I was going to have to save.
Right.
And so it kind of like made me question if I was actually ready for the process, because
I hear that all the time. Yes.
yeah, because one of the things that you get excited, you start looking for houses, and then they start calculating those numbers, and you're like, oh, okay. All right.
Wow, I'm gonna have to have that much. Yeah, that's one of the most common things that I hear from first-time home buyers is I don't have enough money to purchase. So, like I said, we'll get into the student loan part of it, but it absolutely is going to depend individually on your situation.
Okay. And before we get into the next question, I see some other people joining in. So if you're just joining in, welcome. You are viewing Simply Sonja Chats. I'm here with my mom, Danita Mitchell. Yes, the sweet life of Mary Kay says, Mom looks good. Let me stay on track. She do look good. Okay. That's where I get it from. Okay. So we are talking about real estate, the home buying process, where I kind of catered it towards millennials because that's the age group that I fall in, but this is for anybody. Okay. So no matter what your age is. So if you're just joining us in the chat, make sure you say hello and what your name is so we can know who's in the room. Okay. So next question, Mom. Do you see more or less millennials buying homes in the current market?
Well, the numbers say more millennials are buying, and I'll get into that. For those of you that are kind of wondering, millennials are people that are born between 1981 and 1996. I took some notes. So you would be between 25 and 40 years old at the time. So according to the National Associations of Realtors, they do a lot of statistics on different buying groups. So according to their numbers in 2021, so far, 37% of home buyers were millennials. So that number has increased. And for those of you that don't know, that millennials make up the largest group in the U.S. population today. There's over 7 million millennials in the United States. So that's a lot of buying power. That's a lot of money that can be put into the economy. And one of the reasons, or I think a couple of reasons, that they're saying that millennials are going into the home buying market right now is because the older millennials have been on the job longer. You've been able to save money. Your career is a little bit more steady. So now you're feeling like, okay, I'm stable enough to get into the home buying market. So that has a lot to do with why we're seeing more millennials buying nowadays.
Okay, so listen to what she said, you guys, because a common myth on social media is that millennials can't afford to buy. And so what she's saying is in 2021, in the midst of a pandemic, the majority of people that were buying homes were people that fell into that millennial age range. And I was one of those people. I bought my condo in December of 2020. So we were smack dead in the middle of the pandemic. So because we started the process when, Mom, in August. Like I signed my contract in August, and then
we had to do everything virtually. Yeah, because of COVID, we had to do everything virtually. So you were right smack in the middle of the pandemic when you bought.
So that should give people some encouragement. Okay, this is why you want to get facts over social media opinions. We
Right.
are buying. We can afford to buy. And just like what she said with the first question, it's going to be unique to everybody's situation. Okay. So, with that being said, with the third question, and for those of you who just joined, hey, Jaja, we got some family in the room. Um, we are going to take your questions towards the end. But my next question is, what should a person's first steps be when they think they're ready to buy?
Okay. So well, there's actually one of the first steps is that you want to be checking your credit scores with all three credit bureaus to
Mm-hmm.
see, where you are, because that credit score is going to be the most important thing, even more important than how much money you have saved. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to, and then you want to get a pre-approval before you even start looking at homes. Before you even search on the internet, you want to get a pre-approval.
So
And
pre-approve first. Why is that important, Mom?
that is important because that tells you what your buying power is. It gives you that first piece of the puzzle, and that's very important. And when I say buying power, I mean how much home you can afford. And a lot of people don't understand. You can go on these mortgage websites and you can put in your income, how much you make, and you can put in, just some real simple things on a website, and that is just a pre-qualification. They'll spit back a number and say, based on what you make and based on what your bills are, this is what you can afford. That is a pre-qualification. That is not a pre-approval. A pre-approval is a step further than that. So, what a pre-approval is you have, um, the mortgage company that you're going with has looked at documentation. They have actually gathered documentation like your W-2s, like bank statements, your tax information. They've verified your income. They've looked at what debts you have, and they've actually, based on that, have given you a more accurate figure of what you can afford. So that I think, I tell everybody the very first thing when my clients first start with me and I give them a consultation, I said, first step is let's get you pre-approved. And
Mm-hmm.
that way, when we know how much you can purchase, we can put together a plan for you, and we'll go step by step. So those, make sure, checking your credit scores. And I know a lot of people I hear a lot of people use Credit Karma. Credit Karma is great. It absolutely helps you to stay on track. However, when a mortgage company checks your credit, they're looking at a totally different model.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get into that a little bit further if somebody has questions about that. But you know, those are the most important things. First
And
step.
I'm gonna kind of expand on that because something that I do in my day-to-day job is I do teach a basic level of financial education. So when my mom is talking about looking at your credit scores from all three credit bureaus, that includes Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And
Absolutely.
what I found, and this is just in general for credit in general, what I found is every single mortgage lender does not always favor the same credit bureaus. So this is why you want to know all three, your scores from all three credit bureaus, and you want to pull your credit report from all three credit bureaus. And I actually put something in the chat where you can go and pull your credit report. Is it once a year for free from
Yeah,
each
it's
bureau?
it's free. It's annualcreditreport.com.
Yeah.
And once a year, it's free. It's no charge. No one should charge you to pull your credit, and that is the official once a year free pull. And I want to say this: another little known fact is when the mortgage company is not choosing, but looking at your credit score that's going to qualify you to purchase a home or pre-approve you, they look at what's called your middle score. What that means is you're going to have your highest score. It doesn't matter what bureau it's from. You'll have your lowest score and you'll have your middle score, meaning, in numbers from low to high. So they take that middle score in the middle, and that's the one that they use to pre-approve you. And that's another little known fact as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah,
So
and
because you might,
so oh, go
I'm
ahead,
sorry, I was gonna say because you might be seeing, on Credit Karma that I have a 700, and that might be your high score. Then your low score might be, somewhere like a 650, or or something like that. Your middle score might be 670. They're gonna take that 670, and those are just some examples of what
ma'am.
your numbers might be.
Yeah, so Jane, I think they are allowing you to pull it more now since COVID. I just don't know when that's going to end, when some of those COVID privileges that we have are going to end, but you can always pull your credit report. And then you want to make sure that you, like my mom would say, you're pulling your official credit scores, because things like Credit Karma and even the credit score that you might get on like your bank account app, like I know sometimes Wells Fargo will show me, um, they use different score methods, and it
Right.
may not
Exactly.
be the same score method that the mortgage lender is using. So your scores could fluctuate or decrease depending on what you're looking at. So you just want to make sure that you are looking at that information from official websites. Okay. And usually you can go on each bureau's individual website and pull your score and your report from individual websites. But annualcreditreport.com just allows you to pull that from one place.
And it's free.
And
I
it's
mean, and the thing is, if you watch anyway, even Credit Karma, it's good to know what your credit score is. However, that is not that's not the model that the mortgage company is going to pull from. So just understand that when you go get your pre-approval, if it's different, that's because the mortgage industry is pulling from a different model. It's
right.
not going to be so much different, astronomically different, but it might not be as high as what you're thinking it's going to be. But if you're doing that annualcreditreport.com and you're keeping watch of it, I used to pull mine every year, every January, to make sure the information on there is accurate, and look at my scores. That's better than not knowing at all.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying.
So when I actually got approved for more than I thought I was going to get approved for, but
Yeah.
it was because I was just so nervous. I think I got approved for what, 280,000.
And that's what I find is that because of a fear or nervousness or not knowing, a lot of people find out once they start with me and they actually let the lender look at their information, they're better off. The majority more are better off than they think
Than you think.
they are.
Yeah,
Right.
and you can end up getting approved for more. And just this is something you had to tell me, right? Remember, just because you got approved for more doesn't mean you have to use all of that either. So
That's,
just be smart with how you
yeah.
be
You're
smart
gonna
with how you use that.
Well, yeah, and more important than that amount is your monthly payment,
Right.
right? So how much you're able to, what's comfortable for you, and what you're paying on a monthly basis, and especially as a first-time home buyer, that's the biggest driving, I say, driver for how much of that money they use is what my monthly payment is going to be. And that's why you want to get with the lender. That lender will be able to tell you, say, if you purchase a home for this much and you put this amount down based on taxes and insurance and everything you have to pay monthly, this is how much your payment is going to be. So that's important to know as well.
And one thing I want to clarify is my mom is a broker and real estate agent in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina. I live in Virginia. So she was not my real estate agent, but she did assist me in just educating
Right.
me and what I should be doing. So I just have to clarify that just in case.
I was not able. Yeah, because I'm not licensed in Virginia. There was no monetary gain from me, but
Right.
I did assist.
Yes.
So absolutely, but in North and South Carolina, if someone's looking to purchase in those areas, I can assist or I can refer.
Right. And so this is why we wanted to give an opportunity for you to educate. Just in case you have questions, I have viewers from all over. So again, you want to make sure you're going with someone that is licensed to work with you in your particular state. But my
Right.
mom was a pivotal helpmate in the process, because even though you've been in real estate and I've grown up knowing you being in real estate and I've been with you late at night signing contracts sometimes, it's not until you start going through the process yourself and
Right. That's
having
right.
people digging through your bank accounts and asking you questions about this. How many times you going to Chick-fil-A? They didn't ask me that, but I was thinking that they were going to ask
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, it's different when you're going through the process and they are getting all in your business,
Yes.
all in your financial business. It is different.
And again, continue putting your questions in the chat because we are going to make time towards the end to answer them. So if you have questions, we're not ignoring you. We just want to get through this information and then we're going to ask them at the end. So just keep putting your questions down. Okay, Mom. So the most important question I feel is student loans.
Yeah.
What is the thing with student loans and your ability to buy? What do we need to know?
Well, your question was how much do student loans affect your ability to buy? And I wrote down two words, a bunch. A bunch.
Okay.
So, however, student loans, you know, will not hinder you from purchasing as long as you make sure that you don't default or you're not behind in your student loans.
Mm-hmm.
So, the most important thing, if you have to defer, if you have to make, do an income driven program, just make sure that whatever you do, that you don't get behind and you don't go in default, because the programs that are out there for first time home buyers are government backed programs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't paid your student loans on time and you're in default, you will not be able to take advantage of those. So I would say, number one, make sure you're paying your student loans on time, even if you have to defer them, um, or just make sure you don't get behind. So that's probably the biggest thing with student loans. Also, there was a very, very good thing that happened this year. Unfortunately, it didn't happen before you purchased your home, or you would have been able to not have to put as much down.
Right.
The FHA guidelines changed for what they will allow you, how much debt or how much the student loans affect you when you're able to purchase, to help you to be able to get approved for more. For
Mm-hmm.
example, I'm just going to give you an example. They used to look at, say, for instance, your student loans were $100,000. That's just an example. They
Mm-hmm.
would they would say that because of that student loan, it would affect you 1%. So they would say that, okay, if you have $100,000 student loan, we're going to say that your monthly payment on that student loan is $1,000 that's added to what you're already paying monthly. So that is why you, Sonja, had to pay more down to be able to get approved. Um, but now with FHA, they cut it in half, so it's just 0.5. So instead of them saying you have $1,000 of monthly student loan debt, now they're saying it's $500. So I had a client that, I mean, we were in the middle of looking for a home for her, and we were only able to look up to, I say, about 200,000, 250,000. And
Mm-hmm.
that guideline changed in the middle of us looking, and then she was approved for 350,000 because of that big change. And that was tremendous, especially, in this market with prices going up so much, she was able to afford much more. So that was a very important change. And, guidelines are changing all the time. So that was one change for the better.
I
So
was I was very in my feelings about that
yes, you were. You were. I remember.
when it came out. I was like, okay,
Yes. And,
great.
with COVID, you have to, because of COVID as well, they allow people to defer, your student loans because of COVID. And that also affected, even though,
Right.
they were deferred, they were still, counting that against you as well. So, it's important. It won't absolutely knock you out, but it is from buying a home, but it's important.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why it's important is because as with any credit or anything that they're looking at on your credit report, they are wanting to look at payment history.
Right.
They want to see how long you've been paying, if you've been paying on time, how much you've been paying. And this is one of the reasons why my mom was saying at the beginning to know what you're pre-approved for before you start going out and looking stuff and falling in love with homes
Right.
that you find out later that you can't necessarily afford.
That's right.
And
It's
so that's super important because even like we tried to look at, remember we were going to try to go with Navy Federal.
yes.
And Navy Federal told me when they looked at my student loans, they did not honor the fact that I was on a income-based plan with my student loans.
Right.
When they looked at my loans, they looked at how much I would be paying if I was never on any type of payment assistance plan, which was a large amount. And so they only approved me for a very small loan.
Right.
And so this is why it's important to do that pre-approval process so you can shop around
Exactly.
lenders and
Exactly.
see how they can accommodate you with some of these programs.
And lenders are going to be different for the type of programs that they offer. And
Mhm.
as a consumer, you know, it is advisable that you shop around with more than one lender. And I'm just going to get one thing. Another reason that people don't like to do that is they're like, well, I don't want my credit score to get dinged. Is it going to bring my credit score down? But what they look at is when you're buying a home, they know that people are shopping around. They're looking at more than one lender. Your credit score may drop, but not what I've seen, what I've experienced, that if there has been a drop in the credit score, it's not for long. It will gradually still go back up. So you do want to shop around. There's different programs lenders offer. New home builders a lot of times will have their own lenders that they own, and they'll have different programs that they have. So, you looked at Navy Federal. I knew right away. I was like, let's look at the builder's lender. Let's see if they have a little bit more flexibility, and they did, and so it worked out.
Yeah. Okay, y'all. So make sure when these loans come off of deferment from COVID, unless Bishop Biden is going to forgive them all,
Yes,
that you start, we praying that he figures that out. But if you're planning on buying, you want to make sure that you are paying those on time. Okay, my last question, and then we'll take questions from the chat, is how does one know if they should work with a realtor, and what are the benefits of working with a realtor?
Okay. So I put my feeling is that the question is not if you should work with a realtor. You should always work with a realtor, and I'll tell you why. Um, I think the question would be which realtor
Mm-hmm.
should you work with versus if you should. And I'll tell you why you should work with a realtor. And sometimes people get confused with an agent versus a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a real estate license and not be a realtor. A lot of people don't know that. A realtor is someone that has joined the National Association of Realtors. They pay money to be a part of that prestigious association, and they're held and to what we call a code of ethics, right? So they're held, there's real estate law, and then you have the code of ethics on top of that. And that is for consumers, and that's for people that are buying and selling, for it governs how we're supposed to treat you. It goes
Mm-hmm.
a little bit further than the law. So you should always work with a realtor, absolutely. But the realtor that you work with is really going to depend on you. I think one of the first things, if you're interviewing realtors, that you should ask that realtor is, did you choose real estate as your career? What's your why? Why are you doing it? And that'll tell you a whole lot about that person. And if what they tell you resonates with you, um, because that person is really should have a heart of service,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what we do. We're assisting you to, I mean, yeah, I've always said And I've known that a real estate purchasing a home is one of the most important things that you will ever do. And it's an emotional purchase.
Right.
Besides getting married and having a baby, purchasing a home,
Yeah.
right? No matter if you're purchasing $100,000 or $1 million home, is just as important to that individual. So the person that you align yourself with needs to have the same goal in mind. They need to have a heart of service. You want that person to listen to you, not just be about, you know, the commission, because we
Mhm.
make money we from selling real estate, but doing it because they really want to help you and educate you about the process, and are just as happy when you reach that goal of home ownership. And it's really what my clients that work with me, they give me feedback and they say that they work with me because you know they they felt like I treated them well, and I held their hand through the process. I walked them through the process. I'm a very all about relationships, and I've sold houses to people that I'm still friends with today. So it's going to really be what is important to you, and that person, that realtor that you choose, should meet you where you are. And you can interview more than one, because you decide, you hire that person, you hire us to assist you.
Right.
So that would be my take on that. And
And
if you don't, go ahead,
I
Sonja.
can add something from my experience. I didn't work with a realtor in that way because I was in a new community. So I already knew what I wanted and everything. But just with the real estate industry as a whole, one of
Yes,
the things that I noticed is a lot of times, this is people's everyday job, and so they can become desensitized to the process. And
absolutely.
one of the things that I love about my mom, watching her do real estate all these years, and it's facts. People that are her close friends now are people that she sold houses to. Like, I was there in their brand new house, and now they've been friends for all these years. Um, is that she takes the time to explain things, which is something that I experience frustration over, because sometimes people assume that you should know what certain documents mean or certain acronyms mean,
Absolutely,
and you don't. Even if you're not a first time home buyer, you don't know what all that stuff means.
absolutely.
And so making sure that you have someone who is patient with you. I mean,
That's
my mom has gotten calls late at night, that she has taken just to appease, or not appease, but just to calm the buyer down, because it is a stressful process. So you also want to make sure that you're working with a realtor who cares about your mental health. She
that's right.
talked about how emotional the process is, and it is a very emotional process. No
It is.
matter no matter how prepared you are financially, it is a very emotionally taxing process. And so you want to make sure that you have somebody on your team that gets that understands that, and that is patient with you through
Yeah.
that, and embraces the questions that you have,
Right.
um, so that you can feel the most at ease as possible. And that's one of the things that I love watching my mom do all these years. She's always made even her most difficult clients, like, she's been there to, just be present and answer the questions and make them feel, confident in the process. But she's also very honest too.
Yes, you have to have somebody that's going to be honest, especially in this real estate market. We're in a seller's market right now. We're in one of the most difficult. I've never seen this market. Most realtors have not seen this market, especially in North and South Carolina, where homes are being snatched up before they even go on the market. So you don't want to be navigating this market on your own. And one thing I also want to mention, like, if you're looking at new homes and you walk into a model home, I was on the other side of that. That person in that model home is representing the builder. Now you're their customer, and they have to treat you well as a customer, but they are working on behalf of the seller. They're not working on your behalf. They're not representing you. So when it gets down to, the nitty gritty of something, everything is wonderful as long as things are going right.
Right.
But if something starts going wrong, you want to have somebody in your corner on your side that's knowledgeable and advocating for you. And it may not necessarily be the person with the most experience. I mean, I've been blessed to be able to be in this business for over 18 years. And that, by the grace of God. But, I've seen some people just get into the business. They have that heart of service. They really, and you have to also have a realtor that wants to continue to learn. We're learning every day. I mean, I'm learning even with as many years as I've been doing this with this seller's market. Um, so somebody that's willing to learn, uh, to think outside the box, especially helping you as a buyer's agent, because it's a difficult market. It's multiple bids out there. It's just a lot going on. So yeah, that person is going to be vital to your process. You don't want to be trying to do that on your own, not especially not these days.
Yeah, because you were like, when we would get on the call and any questions, I'm like, no. My mom was like, actually, I have a question.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and it's it's a process. It's a learning process for all of us.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
if you ask questions that sometimes buyers they don't know to ask those questions. Like even with my walkthrough, I had you on FaceTime or something like that.
right, yes,
And you were asking questions because I don't know. I'm just excited. I want to get in the house. Like I'm tired of the process. I just want to move. And my mom was
exactly.
like, no, why is this like this? And what does this mean? And is this going to get, and I was getting aggravated because I'm like, I just want to get in here. But now that I'm in here and I've been in here for almost a year, I'm like, yeah, now next time I know.
You learn, and
Yeah.
you continue to learn with the next home that you buy. So yeah,
Hmm.
realtors are vital. I mean, and there's a lot of companies coming out. I mean, it's so easy to go online now and just go on Zillow or realtor.com. I mean, it's getting to the point where you can just go online, and it's going to be to the point where you can just go online and buy a home. And they say, well, you don't have to have a buyer's agent. You don't have to have somebody representing you. But what a lot of people don't know is, when somebody's representing you as a buyer, they're paid by the seller. So you're not paying an upfront fee to have that person to work with you. I'm paid as representing my buyers once I find them a house and we close and paid by the seller. So you're getting that representation. It's not free because the seller is accounting for that fee that they're paying me, but it's not coming out of your pocket as long as you're adhering to the guidelines of the contract that you've set forth with your buyer's agent. So take advantage of it. You don't want to be doing that on your own. So because like I said, even though that person online or that person in the model can help you as you're their customer, give you customer service, they're not working on your behalf.
On your behalf, right.
Your,
And then it's especially important when you get ready to sign that contract to know
absolutely.
what you're signing. And one of the things that you helped me with, Mom, is even when I got my HOA documentation, what does that mean? Like, what do those things mean?
Right. And
So
you can hire a lawyer, and if you feel you can hire a lawyer, because we can't practice law
right.
to go through the contract with you and explain it with you. But a realtor also can read the contract with you and just point out some of the things that you just want to be aware of that you might just skim over, especially in this age of DocuSign. It's so easy just to electronically
Right.
sign things and not necessarily read them. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're vital. We earn every penny of
Yeah.
our money, every penny. So, yeah.
Okay, you guys. So we're gonna start taking some questions from the chat. So I'm just gonna start scrolling back up, Mom. I'm gonna ask the questions and you can answer. So
Okay.
now would be the time for you to put any question. No question is dumb. Put any question in the chat. So let me scroll back up, and we're gonna start with Mealy. I hope I'm saying that right. Mealy wins. She asks, "Are you familiar with any grant programs available for first-time home buyers?"
Um, I will tell you that I have some very good lenders that are on my team that I rely on to know all of that. However, I do know some things. I have heard of like the housing partnership program and some grant programs out there for first time home buyers. A mortgage lender, a mortgage professional will be able to, your realtor like me, I'll know of some things, but I have some great people on my team that I can refer to and say, hey, based on this person's situation, are there any grants? Are there any special programs out there for them as a first time home buyer? And another fact is a first time home buyer is somebody that hasn't owned in 3 years. So you can have owned a home, but
I
not
didn't know
owned
that.
one in 3 years. A lot of people don't know that, and be considered a first time home buyer again.
Okay, so if Kristen is still on the call, my best friend is
Hey,
here.
Kristen.
I hope you heard that,
I
Chris. If you haven't, what does that mean when you say haven't owned? Does that mean that they haven't bought anything new, as far as like a new house in?
that means that they don't currently own. They
Oh,
don't have a current home in 3 years. Say for instance, they owned a home, like me. I owned a home, I sold that home, and 3 years have gone by and I haven't bought another property. I can go back and as long as, and take advantage of the first time home buyers program all over again.
I did not know that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
So the next question is from Lynette Nelson. She says, "If I purchase a vehicle, how long should I wait to try to get pre-approved for a home?"
That's a great question. So if you don't have to purchase a vehicle, I mean, if you have wills that are getting you and you're okay and you're safe, my advice would be not to purchase a vehicle because when you purchase a vehicle, a lot of times, especially if you're doing it through a dealership, they're going to pull your credit several times. There's going to be several people looking at your credit in order to give you a loan. And that can affect your credit score tremendously. Most times it's going to drop your credit score and it's going to add additional debt. Um, so I don't know if I'll explain to you debt to income ratios. That's what the lenders look at, meaning they look at the gross amount of money that you make a month and those recurring bills that you pay. And a car note is one of those. And that affects how much home you can purchase. So if you're hey, if you want to own a home and your car is not new, and my advice would be to purchase the home first and then get the car. Now, how long you have to wait if you go ahead and purchase, or if you have purchased, um, that's going to depend on your situation. In if you still keep the credit score, if your credit score is still, I mean, the going numbers is like for FHA is six. Your middle score needs to be at least 620, sometimes 640, depending on the bank. If it doesn't drop your score below that, you still can purchase a home. You can purchase a home with a 580 credit score with some lenders, but your interest rate is going to be high, or you have to put more money down. So I tell my folks, we want to put you in the best position possible. We want to help you to be able to afford the most home. We want you to take advantage of these great low interest rates. Some of them under 3%, under 4% right now. So, like I said, that would be my advice is to hold off on purchasing a car, and purchase that home.
Mm-hmm. Good advice. So Real Talk Jane Doe says, since the student loan hold is active now because of COVID, it ends in January. Would you recommend paying a large amount of off right before applying for the mortgage loan? She wants to pay her loan down before the interest starts back.
Um, my advice on that would be to ask the mortgage professional that you're working with before you go on your own and pay anything off. Because, for example, the lender that I work with that gives my clients advice about that, he looks at their financial situation and he advises them on the next step. If they don't have the credit score they need, for free, he has a heart of service as well. He advises them on what they should do and where they should put their money. So I wouldn't go off on my own. That's why, working with a professional is so important, because you could use that money, you could pay your loans down, but you may not have had to. You may have the score that you need, especially with the change in the FHA guidelines. So I would save that money for my down payment. If I didn't have to use it to pay my loans down, that could be a part of your down payment. So don't go and do anything on your own without asking a professional first.
Yeah, because think about it, Jane, like our loans are in deferment, but they're not in default. So you not paying on your student loans really shouldn't have made a big effect on your credit, because you didn't do anything wrong. It's just a government thing right now that's going on. And so, yeah, you just want to make sure before you start doing that, because that is also going to change your debt to income ratio. It's a lot of things that go into
moving parts. And you don't want to, like I was saying, you don't want to navigate the real estate market on your own. You don't want to be out there on your own. You want somebody to partner with you and help you to navigate through that. It's the same thing with the loan. You want a good mortgage professional. And in your real estate agent or broker should have a good mortgage professional. They should be able to refer you to at least, I'd say you look at 3, but somebody that's going to help you there. So you don't want to take money. You may not have to take that money. Like I said, that may be money that you can use towards your down payment. So ask first before you do anything.
Especially if your credit is good right now.
Absolutely. If your credit is good and you have good income, then yes. If you don't have to use that money to pay to pay it down, use it for your down payment.
So Jane, it might be good for you to start looking at realtors and seeing if you can get pre-approved now before that January date even comes, if your finances are in a really good place. Because how long do they usually lock in your pre-approval amount?
It could be 30. I think I'm not sure, but I believe 30 to 90 days. But yes, I would go ahead and get pre-approved now, because if you have to update it, you can. But that's I always say there's several moving parts. There's several pieces of the puzzle. The more information and knowledge you have before you start looking, the better. Because, if you're out there just looking and you have all these questions that you don't know, then, and in this market nowadays, I will tell you, before a seller would even look at your offer, they want a pre-approval in their hand. They want that paper, meaning that you have submitted documentation, you have gone through the process, you've done everything except found the house. That's what they want. So it's best to just go ahead and get it done. And like I said, it's not going to put a big ding on your credit score to do that. And I've seen some cases where my client's score has dropped some and it's made them a little nervous. But then I saw, a month later, it started to tick back up. So
yeah, I think mine dropped maybe like 5 points.
Right. It's not a huge amount. What will affect it more than anything is like if you're late, 30 days late on a credit card, or you get a collection. But you applying for a loan is not gonna. I mean, if you have this credit score that you need to purchase a house, it's not gonna drop it that much.
She said that's the goal. She's been biting her nails. Well, girl, look.
What did she say again? Who was that?
The Real Talk Jane who asked that question, she said, yes, that's the goal. I've just been biting my nails and waiting for nothing, honestly.
Well,
Now
listen,
is the time. Look, if you
now's
can
the
do it
time.
before
Yeah,
January, at least get that information going. Like my mom would say, get that information from somebody that can help you and see what you get pre-approved for. That way you can plan a little better as you go into the
exactly. And you have to have a plan in this market, because this market is not favoring buyers; it's
it's not.
favoring sellers until it changes. And on top of that, prices are going up. I mean, so the longer you wait, the more you're going to pay. So
Yeah.
now's the time. I mean, don't wait. Just step out there and make the move.
To see. Okay, Lynette Nelson says, should I purchase a home although I'm currently in school? I do have a loan, but I don't have to start paying until 2 years from, I'm guessing, when she graduates.
Okay. Well, that's going to depend on your financial situation. Do you have a Are you just in school? Are you working as well? I don't remember hearing her say.
Yeah,
She said,
Lynette, can you give us more information about, are
"The
you
information
working?
about, are you just in school, or are you also working?" You may have said it, but I don't.
I don't know. Let me go back up and see if she said
Okay.
something about it.
And I can give her a hypothetical. I mean, if she
Yeah.
if you have a I mean, if you're working and you have a job, you've been on that job for a while, and you're able to produce 2 years of um, where you file your taxes, then and you're able to get approved, then hey, go for it. But you do have to have income coming in. You do have to have a job.
And then because she's not currently paying, I'm guessing her question is she's not currently paying on her student loan because she's in school.
Oh, I
So
see. I
does
see.
that favor her or hinder her if she's trying to apply for?
Well, I mean, that would be I don't guess on anything. That would be if one of my clients asked me that question, I'd say, hey, let's get on the phone and ask my mortgage professional, and let's get educated on that together.
And she
So
said she is full time. She works.
she works, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to guess. So I would like, again, I would call my mortgage professional, and we find out together.
Okay. Jamie says if a person is in the process of rebuilding their credit, would that have an effect later when they want to buy a home?
If you're in the process of rebuilding your credit, I would imagine you're saying rebuilding your credit score. Will that have an effect? No, your credit score can be rebuilt and as many times as it needs to. It's not a one and done. It is. Now they will look at your history over probably a 2 year period of time. If you've been paying on time and everything has been going well, and you're not applying for large amounts of credit, they do look at that and how long you've had the credit. But if your score goes down below what it needs to be for you to buy a home, and you rebuild it and you get it back up there, then and then 5 years later it happens again. It's just, it can be rebuilt as many times. That's the beautiful thing about credit. It can be rebuilt as many times as it needs to be. I mean, for
Yeah.
example, during the recession, when people were going, they were going into bankruptcy and foreclosures, um, that was forgiven after a couple of years. So people that went through that, if you 2 years later you rebuilt your credit and you were paying everything on time, those foreclosures and bankruptcies were forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
And then there's people who go through a credit repair process right before they buy. So
yes,
that's the purpose of that, to help them
right.
rebuild their credit so they can buy. So it's not going to look bad on you if you had to go through a credit rebuilding process. It's not a negative thing.
It's absolutely, and you don't have to pay to improve your credit. You can, if you
Yes.
Yes. You don't have to pay someone to help you improve your credit. My mortgage professional gives somebody a game plan for absolutely nothing. All he requires is that you follow the plan. If you follow the plan, now he's not going to do it for you. He tells you exactly what you need to do. He tells you how long it's going to take if you do what he tells you to do, and he charges you nothing. What the only thing you pay is your time and energy and commitment to rebuilding your credit.
Right. Okay. And then the last question that I see from Real Talk Jane Doe again, she says, but after the purchase, does the credit score generally go down? So after you purchase your house, does your credit score generally go down? She says, I worked so hard to get it up. I actually paid off a vehicle before getting professional advice, and it took her out of the 800s.
Okay, so I know, people that have 800 credit scores, they're like, I want to keep it in the 800s. I don't want it to go down. But I have seen when at the beginning of the process, someone's score might drop, like you said, Sonja, what, 4 or 5 points?
Mm-hmm.
And they panicked. Oh my God, my score is dropping, especially if I advise that they, look at more than one lender because we were looking for a certain program for them that I thought they, would give them a better scenario. As long as you have a 720, 740, you can do a conventional loan. As long as you have that minimum credit score, you're able to get the lowest interest rate, the best down payment, the best scenario for you when you're purchasing a home. That is all the mortgage company is going to look at. So, I mean, and once you close on the house, what I found when I closed on my house, my credit actually got better because I had paid down my debt. I was paying everything on time. I was very vigilant. Time went on, I was getting uh, more points for having credit for longer. My score actually went back up. So, the most important thing when you're buying a home, and I know we like bragging rights. My credit is 800, but if you're buying a home, I think that it's worth it rather than if you buy a car. And we love our shiny cars and our shiny objects, it's going to drop your score even more. And a car, depreciates in value. A home is an investment. It
Right.
appreciates in value over time. So if you lose 5 points, making that lifelong investment that could make a difference for generations to come, especially if you're that first person in your family that's owned a home, it's absolutely worth it. You're fine, honey. If you have an 800 credit score, you're you're fine all day long.
You're doing fine, Jane.
We
You
won't hold it against you. The mortgage company won't hold it against you if you go down to 799.
And one thing I can say is I was so tired of looking at my credit score. Like by the time I closed,
Yeah.
I didn't even care. I was like, whatever, I'm in the house now. Like I don't care. Like until I get ready to have to buy something else that they're gonna be looking at my
Yeah.
credit score, I'm like, whatever. I am just
I,
here.
I know people are upset. And the same thing with me. I was obsessing on looking at my finances every day, making sure everything was paid, balancing my checkbook because I didn't want to be behind on anything. So, it is a process. And like I said, it's an emotional process. It's challenging, but it's absolutely worth it. Think about it. I mean, we got people right now. I was out with a client today that put an offer in on the community that I bought a home in and we lived in. And
Yeah.
these homes are now, I bought that home for 125. These homes are now going for over $300,000. Think about that
I
equity.
really. You bought
Yeah,
when did you buy our childhood home, Mom? What
it
year
was
was that?
1999.
And it was 100, like 100,000 something.
125,000. It was in a middle income neighborhood. It wasn't considered a first time home buyer's price point. My first time home buyers now are in the $300,000 price point. Incredible, unbelievable. But think about that. I've had clients that have pulled money out of their homes to pay down debt.
Mm-hmm.
To set their whole life in a whole nother direction during this market. So it's absolutely worth it.
And then we have Jane says she's a part of the family now. She's asking so many questions. You're good,
Well,
Jane.
welcome to the family.
Keita, yes, that's my mom. That is my mom. So Mira, our last question that we're going to take tonight, guys, from Mira. She says, so how do we get in contact with a mortgage professional for credit repair help?
So I would start with a realtor, because we partner with people that, like, my partnerships with the realtors that I work with, they're like-minded, they're like me. I'm very client focused. I'm focused to make sure that my client is taken care of. They're, if they need the hand holding. So I would start with, talking with a realtor, and then asking that realtor if they have someone that they work with that helps to repair credit. A lot of realtors, that's a service that they also provide.
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't provide that service for mine, but I have someone that does provide that service. So that's where I will start, because that person is going to have your best interest at heart. I mean, there's people out here that do credit repair. I'm not knocking that. Absolutely not knocking that at all. There are mortgage professionals that will offer that as well. And then there are mortgage professionals that want you to be ready when you come to them. So we want you to have the best experience. Everybody that they help, they want you to already be ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would start with finding a great realtor, somebody that you trust and feel comfortable with, and asking them if they have somebody that on their team, or if that's something that they provide.
So Mira, that just means you got to do a little research about the realtors in your area and see what they provide.
Right.
Okay, the very last question we'll take is Jamie. She says, what if you've been on the job for a very long time, but you don't have a savings account?
Okay, so depending on the type of loan program, some loan programs don't require a savings account, like FHA. They do require you to show that you have your down payment.
Mm-hmm.
It can be in your checking account. It can be a gift.
I
Right?
think they asked me to send them a copy of the certified check. So they didn't necessarily look and see if I had this money in my savings account. They were like, go get a certified check for this amount. And
out of your checking account. So
yeah.
I mean, and your down payment can be a gift. It can be gifted to you. It just has to be proven, documented that it's a gift. So yeah, that's a great question. Another great question.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different scenarios, you guys. So this is why she keeps stressing to do your research, to find a realtor who has certain connections that can ask these questions, and making sure that you get a realtor that will work with you when you're researching lenders, so they know what type of mortgage lender that you need to work with, because your realtor is going to really be looking at your situation. They might have a financial advisor that they partner with that
Right.
can really take a deeper look into your finances and say, okay, these are some things that you want to look for when looking for a lender, or these are some things you might want to do first. And then, you go through that process with the help that you need, because all of these questions that you guys are asking are the same questions that I was asking my mom.
Right.
The same questions. And it's not common information, because it really just does depend on the state that you're in, your specific financial situation, the home, the lender. Like it just really depends. So it's going to be very personal to your situation. So having somebody that can help you is going to be super vital.
And I know for me, like I said, I partner with people that are like me. I want to make sure that when we're going through the process, I'm finding you a home, and I get a pre-approval from my lender, that I can trust that pre-approval.
Mm-hmm.
That lender has done everything on the front end to make sure that we're not going to, run into anything like they're saying, hey, you're pre-approved for this amount, but they haven't necessarily done all the work on the front end. And we go into contract on a home and you're not able to close, because it's going to be very important that you're able to once you sign that contract, that you're able to perform. So I partner with people that I trust, that I work well with, that, I have a lot of questions. You may have questions. I know I can pick the phone up and I can get my questions answered. And that's going to take care of you. That's why I say start with a realtor, because they're going to have people that they partner with and they like to work with. Because if I have somebody that, has a pre-approval from a bank, but I have never worked with that bank before. I've never done a deal with that bank. I don't know how they operate, or that account manager that's handling that mortgage. That makes me feel like, I don't know. I don't really feel secure that we're going to be able to get this done. Now I can get to know them through the process, but I have a team of about 3 mortgage people that I know that I can depend on. And I let you choose, which one you're going to use.
So basically what she's saying is you're not just getting a real estate agent, you also getting her connects.
Yes, absolutely. That's important. How your real estate agent is connected.
How are they connected? So those are some of the questions that you want to ask when you're looking for a realtor. What are some of your connections? I think the first one that you said was what is your why? So figuring out that realtor's core values and seeing
Right.
if it matches with yours, and what type of clientele are you used to working with, blah blah blah.
That's
Like
right.
you're interviewing your realtor because they're technically working for you.
Right.
So these are great questions that you guys are asking. So when you're looking for a realtor, ask them these same type of
That's
questions so
right.
you know
That's
who
right.
you're working with.
Absolutely.
Okay, mommy. Well, we had, I think, at the most about 22 people on at one time. It
Yes.
fluctuated between that. So I thank
That is
everybody for
awesome.
tuning in. I have again put my mom's social media on the screen. Even if you're not in North Carolina or South
That's what I
Carolina,
got.
follow her because she puts up this type of information on social media all the time. So she has little posts and content that will answer some of your questions like this. And you can also just always comment and interact with her to get some of your questions answered. And she has, do you still have your first time home buyers guide
Yes,
on your?
I have a first time home buyers guide. The link is in my bio where you can download information. And it'll give you step-by-step information. I also can refer you, like if you are in a different state, um, to a realtor that can help you in that state as well. And then I'm happy to answer questions. I'm not first-time home buyers are dear to my heart, because I started, somebody helped me through the process, and it is actually a big part of the reason why I started doing this, because I
Yeah.
feel like if somebody was able to help me, and I needed that help, and I was scared. I wanted to own a home for many, many years. I bought my home in 1999. I don't know. I don't remember how old you were, Sonja, at the time.
How old were you? You were 32?
Oh, I was 32. Yeah, I closed on my house on right before my birthday. And I was scared for a long time. A thing that held me back for years. I had the income, but I was afraid of the process. So I stepped out. I got a person, a realtor, that contacted me, and she, like I said, she had a heart of service, and she took me out, and here I am today. And the experience wanted the experience caused me to want to pay that back or pay it forward to other people. And I've been doing it ever since. And it's very rewarding to see people, my clients, get so excited that not just the first time home buyers, but, be able to realize that dream.
So you guys, in case you're wondering where I get my from, it's my mom, because I've watched her do this, and her story, not your story because you're my mom. So my story is very similar to hers as far as that want to help and serve people. We just are in two different niches.
That's right.
But I've watched her do this all my life. Okay. So that's why I'm so good, because I watched her, the GOAT. Okay. So again, thank everybody so much for joining in. This will be available for replay right after we end the broadcast. So if you want to watch it over and go back and take notes, you can do that. Make sure you're following mom on her Instagram or on her Facebook, whichever one you prefer, because she does put this type of information up there. You guys, make sure you are subscribed to my channel. Okay, don't just come on here and get all this information and don't subscribe, because we're trying to get 50K. Okay, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, you guys. Mom, do you have any last minute words before we end?
My only thing is, if you're scared, do it anyway.
Didn't we just talk about that last night? And Ghetto Bob said, if you're scared, do it anyway. You have people that can help you, so you don't have to do it by yourself.
You have to do it alone.
All right, beauties. Thank you so much again. I love you guys. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Good night, guys.